When we're talking about the history of this place, it's got to be recalled that the saying was the squirrel could start in New England and get all the way to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground. And that, I know, was, from what I read, the definite way it was here, that when the Kirks bought this land from the government, they owned it for only 25 years, and they got about 24 acres cleared in that time. And there was no building, it's called improvements on the land at that juncture. But then the Trippets bought it, and they added more to it, and they built the house. And it was one of the nicest houses around, and it was that house that probably got the next owner there, because they were a couple of romantics. They didn't have children. They loved the house, I believe, and lived there for some time, but they moved to town finally. Maybe the rural life wasn't all they sort of thought it was going to be, but they rented it then to my family. And this was a time in the early 1900s when farming was good. They'd gone through a terrible depression in 1873, and they had recovered. And so my grandfather brought his family of 5 into this house that I think Jenny Glaze loved. And they had the rest of their family. They had 9 children. They had the rest of them there. And it was such a terrible blow when my Uncle Noel, who died at 22 months of pneumonia, and they blamed the walls of the brick of being wet. And so Grandpa bought his own farm and moved his family down the road. So that was the earliest time the Kolbs were involved, and they were involved as renters. Then there were subsequent depressions and recessions and things, and the Presbyterian Church, the Cumberland Church, owned it for a while, and there was another owner, Duncan, who tore down a lot of things and changed a lot of things. And then my parents bought it with my dad's brother in 1945. And so it's been our place since then. He and his brother divided up their lands later, and so the Wilbur Kolb, the JWK family, has owned the land now for all those years. This was known to me as the old Cunningham place. There was a nice house here, certainly not the vintage of the brick house across the road. What we have here that we're walking through is some hops, and they just came here. We don't know where the birds were that got the seeds or what, but this is a whole bunch of hops growing. But it was a derelict by then, and the brothers Kolb turned the rooms into grain storage. This is before a lot of grain storage bins and stuff were available, and this was an available storage space. So they used the house for that, and they built the shed on the back there that kind of connected with that. Well, they took the house down, and so we have left this storage shed for farm equipment. Then the most valuable, according to the tax rolls of the buildings over here, is that Morton barn over there. It is equipment storage, and it's good shape, and so it's funny to me because the big barn here, that's the important thing to me. And it has, its eventual use is not exactly planned. At present, it stores all of the savings of the barn we took down on my grandmother's place. that we're going to use in building onto our brick house that we see as a bed and breakfast eventually. The companion, of course, to the big barn is the granary. And my father told me that it is not granary, it is granary. And so that has been converted into 3 sleeping rooms. And of course it has the wide central space that's a nice common space. This whole barn apron could be a great terrace in the evening, a place to have a little hors d'oeuvre, or just a place to rest after you've worked hard all day. It's very well insulated now and has air conditioner, and you certainly have to have that if you wish to sleep there in the hot summers. So we have also a shower installed, and we have the space ready for a composting toilet, which will work very well there. So we have the 4 rooms. We have some indestructible furniture in here. We have a table here. This end opens out in a lovely day when you're not air conditioning. It just looks out on the field and the cattle and stuff that's out there, and is beautiful. And so all we lack in here is a bed, and we have a few other nice embellishments we want to add. But this is 4 nice rooms for guests. So this is a transverse frame barn that we call the event barn. This is where we try to get everything ready for packaging vegetables and also for having parties and fun. We haven't got that all together. We did have parties there. We had the Gibson County 200th anniversary birthday party in there some years back, before we made some of the improvements that we have. We have great views from every place we look. Here's a new installation of a bar, and here's the kitchen vegetable cleaning area. It goes straight through to the cooler, and then we could load it out the door and deliver. There you can get some idea about the size of that part up there. That used to have more boards in it for the loft. Okay, here's my grandson and helper at the organic market. There you can see they've got some good veggies in there from the garden to sell. This is the market building, and you see the Arnold Award there. You see the other barns back behind there, so you get the idea of how close this is to the other barns and the house. One of our first farmers got us into the poultry business, and we had these ducks, and they went straight to water the first time they were put out there. The chickens, we could watch on them right there by the house. Here is a picture of the sheep. My cousin has these, and you can see in the background some of our new fence. We're very proud to have done that, thanks to some help from the USDA. And these are cotton patch geese. All these are heritage breeds. Cotton patch geese come from the South, where they ate everything in the fields except the cotton. So they were very important, but they are very good eating too. And we really enjoyed our period with cotton patch geese. We had a time of bees, and unfortunately they didn't survive through 3 seasons. We were installing them there, and we had lots of wildflowers blooming at the time that we'd planted, and a good place for them, but they didn't make it. This is a large black, and you see how those ears are. The ears fall down right over their eyes, and this pumpkin kept it clean. These are bourbon red turkeys. They're heritage, and we tried 82 of those, and we tried to get them ready for Thanksgiving, but we did sell them for Christmas. Okay, this is my grandmother Wolf's old barn, right along the road, and kind of embarrassing because it was in bad shape. And we decided to take it down and salvage whatever we could from it to use in our new remodeling of the kitchen, to use in the great room of the bed and breakfast plan. And there's the good stuff we got out of it, and we'll store all that and keep all that and use it as we can. We might be able to sell some parts. This is the second pen of the two-pen log cabin that my parents moved over here to be corn cribs. And this one, of course, was covered up with a roof and saved the logs. So we used the logs to build the cabin that we live in, and we appreciate those logs every time we walk through that place. Okay, this is the tri-portal barn, as you see. My husband Tom is looking at it. I think he wonders what we'll ever do with it. Now we are working on the center part of it, which really stabilized the barn itself even more, and gave us a good workshop, which, as everybody needs, every farmer needs to have. Here we see the whole family in on the act, the people who lived there at the time. And it was a busy day, and everybody worked hard, and we got her done and made this into a workshop that's very nice. It's all insulated. It's very cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And this is a picture of that barn before its last painting. And this, you see the new painting on that back of it. And this is seen from the road, the quilt pattern of the soybeans, wheat, and corn. One of the goals we have is to achieve a working, producing, sustainable farm, and we want to help people learn to grow their own food, and we want to use permaculture. Permaculture is sustainable farming, which is logical, efficient, intensive, with an emphasis on polyculture versus monoculture. We want to grow the soil itself, you know, not just the stuff we're growing, but by mulching and growing deep-reaching cover crops, using natural animal and plant fertilization, we can grow the soil and make the whole thing much more sustainable. And this is Mariah Shu. She was our intern, a graduate of Indiana University in ecology and environmental studies. She was with us for a summer. She was great help. She could also do stuff with the books for me. And now she has a job out on the East Coast. She's living in New Jersey and is working in her field of ecology. She also has a new son, and she was just an experience to treasure. This is a photo of a print of one of the paintings that Gwen has done, 2 barns in most of the 92 counties that were traveling around last summer when the Indiana State 200th anniversary was being celebrated. This is a very inspiring thing that she has done, and to think of 12 years of her life's work doing these paintings and having this be ready for our population to see is just kind of mind-boggling. So thanks to Gwen, that was 12 years wonderfully spent. This is a very encouraging letter from Marsh Davis, sent December 26, 2012, and basically says, why save these places? This is a paragraph out of that that says, historic preservation brings individuals together and creates true communities where they did not exist before. It is also obvious how impoverished Indiana's cities and towns and countrysides would be without the collective work of historic preservationists. As we celebrate past successes, we must understand that there is no end to our work and that the challenges of preserving our heritage only grow deeper through time.